My next guest, an analyst for NBC Sunday Night Football. I love those highlights. The owner of Pro Football Focus. He's wearing the hat. I love it. Cris Collinsworth, how are you?
Hey, what's happening? I think you need to put your off-camera conversation on camera. That's really interesting.
It's actually live on YouTube, so people did see that. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to South Bend. Let's make this all about me. Let's make this interview. Let's start this off like this.
You know what? Nobody would love that more than me. That's great.
Jack, of course, spends time there. You got a lot of connection to South Bend. Where should I go? Give me the to-do list for Notre Dame this weekend.
Well, my other son, Austin, was the captain at the Notre Dame football team. And it's like you really don't want to wander more than a couple of blocks from the stadium.
Okay.
There's like an Irish pub over on the corner, and to lose the atmosphere of that place. Like you go on there, and I've been to a lot of college campuses. I've been to a lot of stadiums. I've been to a lot of things. You know, you got to go see the grotto. You got to, there's certain things that you got to do. But, touchdown Jesus in the background, the kids all walk across campus and you high five the players as they come in. And I will say the coldest I've ever been, though, was during the spring game at Notre Dame last year. I was like, wait, this is supposed to be the spring game. At Florida, we were sweating our tails off with this thing.
Yeah.
And they're coming up on the USC game, which I'll never forget. Because my son Austin was returning the opening kickoff. This was the first game at night, and the whole thing. And sure enough, the opening kickoff comes right down to him. And I've announced 5 Super Bowls, national championship games. I've been able to control things emotionally a little bit. That ball hit Austin in his hands, and I stood up and I went, "Go, Austin!" You would have thought I was a 6-year-old girl. I'm telling you, I was so completely gone. I was like, what just happened to me? Like, the emotions that happen, not only in that stadium, but, just in general, when your kid's out there playing and doing things, it was just some of the great memories that I'll ever have.
I absolutely love that. Have you ever been to the linebacker, Cris? The bar?
I have. Yes.
Okay. Whose name should I draw? Let's say it's going to rain. I'm a brat. I want to get in. They're saying it's one in my. Whose name do I drop that will give me the likeliest entry into the linebacker? Out of all the alum, we can go Golix, we can go Sam Hartman, we can go. Who's the name?
Mine.
Yours?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
Cris,
tell them that we're going to put it on the NBC.
Yes.
We'll put it on the NBC broadcast. We'll put it on Sunday Night Football. If you don't get in there dropping a few names, NBC related, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. And we will, trust me, you want me to call in advance?
Kind of. I'm going to FaceTime you. I'm going to FaceTime you. But it begs the question, how many times have you dropped that in your real life to get into a golf course? We'll get you on the I'll make a mention. How often does that happen, Collinsworth?
Okay, well, a lot. But, so I always say, though, I'm just the right amount of famous, right?
Okay,
so
you're very
I'm
tall.
Just famous. No, like bad. I know the Michael Jordans of the world. That Patrick Mahomes of the world, that looks miserable to me. Miserable. They can't go out of their house. They can't do anything. Me, I want a little better table at a restaurant. I was like, hey, if you ever wanted to go to a Sunday night, I can work it a little bit. And they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't recognize you, but I recognize the voice a little bit. Oh, you're the guy on Sunday night. Okay, let's take him out of the toilet and bring him back up in here somewhere where he actually has a view. Yeah. Do I do that? Of course I do.
I think I'm dropping Austin's name, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's better.
Well, I'm thinking about what you're saying. You're too tall I would not enjoy being your level of fame because you're recognizable. Do you know what I'm saying? I always feel bad for Gronk. Like if Gronk was, like not so imposing, or Shaq, like I just feel, or Kevin Durant, like I truly feel you're in that club of being tall, and then people start thinking that must be somebody,
Yeah, but I'm tall and skinny, so it's not like Shaq. There's no way Shaq's getting away.
I feel bad for Shaq.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and he's just a great dude. He just will shake hands with, people, but he keeps on moving through the crowd.
Yeah.
And, he does what he does. But I honest to goodness, I really do. Some of those people in NBC's doing some work with Michael Jordan. We happen to be down
Yes.
there. And he goes to the same restaurant every night because they just treat him normally. And he goes in there, and it's amazing how much some of those people just want a normal life, like things that we all take for granted, just being able to go out and go shopping and go to a restaurant. They really can't. They just can't.
How involved is Michael Jordan going to be? What do you know? Give me I mean, Tariq's doing his thing. It starts next week, I believe. NBA back on NBC. Give me the scoop. What do you know?
Oh, man, I'm going to get shot for some of this. I'm sure it's all a big surprise, but he will be, it will be a deep dive into the brain of Michael Jordan. Is that enough of a tease without giving away anything?
Into the brain?
Like,
I would like.
yes.
Okay.
Like the things that you would really want to know from Michael Jordan. If you got a chance to sit down and just have a conversation with Michael Jordan, no cameras, just a couple of glasses of wine, and just enjoy a great conversation about all the things that you knew about him or thought you knew about him from watching the series, and the whole thing like that. You're going to get that. Plus, you're going to get a very focused, not, Michael, who do you think the best player in the NBA is? It's not that stuff. It's like details way inside the brain of the greatest basketball player that ever lived.
Got it. So it sounds like it's not going to be live action. It's going to be like a feature. We'll have features, little moments.
I'm acting like I know what I'm talking
You do.
about.
I know
I just
you
know
do.
little bits and pieces of it. I think there'll be bits and pieces of both. I think you'll get very much the Michael experience. And he's fantastic. He's one of the great, how do you say this? He busts chops better than anybody I have ever known. I wish I could tell you, the first time I walked up to him and said hello, he went, bam, 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 just like that. I mean, 3 shots right across the mouth and was laughing. I can't say. I honestly, I cannot say. But he was a Bengals fan. Hey, you have something in common if you ever meet him.
Oh, I am. Michael Jordan and I have a lot in common, of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
what do you mean he's a Bengals fan? What?
Yes. So I was sitting there. It was great. So we're at NBC, and we just played his golf course. And so we're there, and Michael was there, and all the brass from NBC is, literally begging him to try and come work for NBC. So I went up and just sat down. Well, another one of my bosses came along. I won't say who. John, but he came by and he was like, Chris, we've got a table for you down here. And I was like, oh, okay. You don't want me to sit with okay, no problem. So I get up and I walk down to the table. As soon as I walked away, apparently Michael said to the group, I grew up a Bengals fan back in that era, and we used to watch them all the time. So now my friend had to come back and say, hey, we really want you to come back here with Michael's table. I almost said, nope, can't do it. Can't make it. Sorry, not me. Can't do it.
Chris, the way that I would never walk up to Michael Jordan, the second that you said, if you could talk to him at a bar, no cameras, I broke out into like a sweat. I could never go up to him. I would never go say hello to him. Is there somebody that exists like that for you?
There was. Brooks Robinson was my guy that played for the Baltimore Orioles, the third baseman, absolutely brilliant guy. And the other one was, I did a radio show in Cincinnati for like 10 years. And so Boog Powell came around selling beer or something. I don't know what it was. And so that was my team. And I'm the only kid that ever grew up in Florida that made his family go on vacation to Baltimore, Maryland, so he could watch the Baltimore Orioles play baseball. So Brooks, I love. Johnny Unitas was the other one. I got to talk to Johnny for like 2 minutes one time. It was I was such a Baltimore guy. And but Boog Powell came on selling beer, and I could barely talk to him. I felt like I was that 8-year-old kid again. It's really funny, but I think almost everybody has somebody that's like that in their life. You
mentioned Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk a little football. Yeah, Michael Jordan's that for me, but I'm excited to see all of that action. Patrick Mahomes, he's the favorite to be MVP. It's all happening. Rashee's back. They're 3-3. When you look at, I feel like it's this narrative. Rashee comes back, and you guys just wait. Rashee, can you explain just from your expertise, what does that actually mean? What can I actually expect as he's set to return to the squad?
So he came back, I guess he came back a couple of weeks ago. And apparently, along with Worthy, so they've got the 3 speed guys that all run under, 4.3. And then they've got the possession kind of guys, Travis and Juju and those kind of guys. And where he fits is right in between. And there's something about the passion of Rashee Rice that just is the guy that they all galvanized around. And Mahomes is the guy, and Kelsey and all those guys, they get all the attention. But there's something about Rashee Rice and what he means inside that building, the connectivity of Rashee Rice. And they were all, there were people that were on that team, on that coaching staff, that were telling me they were more confident with this 2-3 team than they ever were with the team that won 15 games and went to the Super Bowl a year ago. And they felt like that Rashee Rice was the last piece of the puzzle. So Worthy and Rice and all these guys in training camp before the suspension happened all ended up, and apparently this offense was just ripping up and down the field. Yeah. And we all know what they're going to do with Spags on the defensive side. They're always going to be good over there. But they're just ripping up and down the field. Then the suspension, then Worthy gets hurt, and and it just kind of didn't start right. But the feeling is that, and I almost said this, I was so mad at myself that I didn't say it. When Mike Tirico asked me about, do you think the Chiefs should be worried, at 2-3 for our opening on camera? And my first impulse was to say the rest of the league should be worried about this 2-3 team. And I backed off of it. I said, nobody can jinx a team worse than I can. And I guarantee if I'd have said it, they'd have lost 40-0. But I just had a feeling from watching them practice, from watching the comments about the importance of Rice, knowing that the health was coming back, knowing that the left tackle and the left guard position was becoming secure in a way that it hadn't been for at least the last 2 or 3 years. I felt really good about the Kansas City Chiefs, and they came out, and yes, Detroit had a decimated secondary, but both those teams are going to be right there at the end of the year. Believe me on that one.
I think it's interesting. Everybody talks about more of the X's and O stuff, his yak ability, the speed factor. The first thing you said was passion. I think that's so interesting.
Well, inside a locker room, it's like anything else, and you guys probably have people in your studio that. For me, it was Phil Simms back when I worked for Inside the NFL. I would have to, in order to do that show and do the radio show, and I had 4 kids, and I had the Sunday Night Football, and I'm like all over the place trying to feed these babies. So I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make the airplane, and I get up there, and some days you're just kind of dragging, it's hard to make yourself do the routine again. And I'd come walking in there, and Phil Simms would be on my butt from the minute I walked in the door. I mean, he was so abusive and funny and hilarious, and just, one of those guys that just brought everything out in me every single week. And I think that Rashee Rice probably is not quite that, but he's the guy that made it fun to walk in the locker room. He's the guy on the field that they had all the reps with, that they just over and over some of those underneath routes. So now you add Juju along with Travis Kelsey with some of those short, quick routes. And now you kind of got that intermediate guy in between the deep guys that are going down the field. I think they're loaded. The one thing that they have not gotten going yet is the running game. And Pacheco, weird. I thought the last 2 or 3 weeks is finally starting to look like Pacheco again after the injury that he went through. So I think this team's loaded. I really do.
They've got the Raiders. I feel like the rest of the division didn't crush it well. This has all been going on and they've been figuring it out. So here come these Chiefs to do their thing, of course, here in Week 7, which is insane that we're already here. I want to get to Sunday Night Football, but you are wearing the PFF hat. PFF getting some bullets here lately from former players. Pat McAfee, Chris Long I think, kicked it off, J.J. Watt. These conversations about PFF grades over the last couple of days, all acknowledging the incredible tool that PFF is, but the grading system seems to be under fire. Also not new, I don't think, from players to hear that. What do you think when you're hearing these conversations?
Thanks for the attention. You're helping our sales. I mean, it's sort of ironic that we've had other coaches that have complained much louder to me about this, right? And those guys would call me and I would say, Coach, come on in. meet my guys, look at our system, pick it apart, do anything you want. I just take a look at the whole thing. Of those coaches, one of them asked for and did buy into our company. One of them asked to buy into the company and said he couldn't afford it. And another one endorsed cutting a player based on PFF grades with the team that he was with. So a lot of people have their own opinions. You know, we grade things, we evaluate things. You know, Bijan Robinson has a couple of fumbles, and, you know, that's hurt his grade, and he's arguably been the best back in all of football this year. So there's always a complaint, but, you know, we've spent literally tens of millions of dollars trying to perfect this system. Every NFL team, every college team, every Canadian Football League team has it. We're building the same thing for soccer right now around the world. Everybody uses it. Every announcer, almost, other than a couple, you know, JJ, come on over. We'll open the doors. We'll give you anything you want for your announcing. But yeah, I think it's easy to criticize if you haven't seen how the potato chips are made, but open invitation to all those guys, anybody that wants to come in and take a look, debate, argue, sit down, pound the table. We've had a lot of people do it in the past, and we'll have a lot of people that'll do it in the future, but we invite everybody.
So a big thank you from Cris Collinsworth with the discourse. And
thank you. It was, I mean, yeah. You know, it's the bottom line is that you need all the data you can get, you know, and I think where a lot of people get emotional is we rank the players. And of course, that all started with the draft. So we were, you know, in the draft, we would rank the players from 1 to 500 or whatever it was, but we studied those guys. We had grades. We evaluated every single player in college football. Can you imagine how much time and energy that takes? And we said, well, we've got the same thing in the National Football League. Let's rank the players. And so when these general managers and coaches come up and say, hey, I need a wide receiver, who would you guys take? Which they do all the time. We would say, well, here's 3 or 4. Take a look at these guys on film and see what you think. And so it's just a ranking system. And anytime when people rank announcers and I'm not at the top of the list, I'm mad. You would be too. I mean, It's the same thing with the players. So I get it. I totally understand, you know, what's going on. So I don't get emotional over it. Just we invite them all, everybody, anybody who wants to challenge our system, come on in. And probably at the end of the day, you're going to want to buy into PFF too.
I like that you're, damn, Cris. You were like, I like that you're standing by the process. Because the question I was going to ask you, do you consider tweaking the process? This all seemed to start publicly the past couple of days because Cris Long said that seeing it on the TV that Patrick Mahomes, who you hear a lot about as well, we'll get to that, as we always do, that he's 14th. He's the 14th, and like there was a newcomer seeing that on television to be like, oh, he's not a very good quarterback. Is Patrick Mahomes the 14th ranked quarterback?
According to this year's statistics, and let's face it, he had a pick 6 for 99 yards that cost him a game. So there are players that have played better over the first 5 games of the season. And because there's a blending in weeks 1 through 4, you have the data, only that data counts. And then we add on the previous season to give the data a little depth. By the time we get to this, I think it's week 5, that by the time you get to week 5, now you have a different system. It's just those 5 games. So you're going to get some skewed numbers, but people only want to know what they're doing this year. So based on just those 5 games, is Patrick Mahomes where he should be? I would argue yes. We can debate it. We can talk about it as we go. But it has been big mistakes, and I said it in the opening on camera the other night. It's been big mistakes by their star players. Chris Jones had a bad grade the other day, and in part, they went out and Spags kind of got on a press conference and they asked him about Chris Jones's grade, and you know he sort of laughed it off and did this thing. But the bottom line is I'm getting so many calls from a lot of other people now, announcers. I mean, you know, every announcer almost uses PFF, almost everyone. Now there's 1 or 2 that don't, and they're paying for it. These are big, famous name guys, and I'm not going to say who it is, but they are. Everybody wants to use it. announcers, radio people, people that are famous in our industry have been calling me and go, please God, Cris, don't stop doing the grades. It's the only thing that we have outside the teams telling us who the best linemen are, who the best linebackers are. It's our only data source out there where somebody has actually looked at every single play of every single player in the National Football League, college football, Canadian League, and now the soccer leagues. Don't take that away from us. And so if the players don't like being ranked, I understand it. I don't like being ranked either. But the bottom line is we have it. It's an asset of ours, and it's something we're going to sell in our business.
It's data. Information is power. You want as much of it as possible, which is what you provide. And I liked and I loved Trevor, even Trevor yesterday, just saying it's a piece of the puzzle, and that's the way it should be looked at. I just thought that was really eloquently put by a guy.
That's exactly right. And I think that, do I think that anybody's going to take our PFF grades into the draft and go 1 through 32, and that's who they're going to take? Of course not. It's a piece of the puzzle.
I'm like, I do that when I'm drafting my fantasy team. I just go, I just let it rip, yeah.
But we not only, the hard part is, and this is where I'm going to agree, and this is something we're discussing, that when you try to put anything into one grade, then you fail. You know, let's say, you lose as many points on our system for missing a tackle as a defensive back as you do for allowing a completion in your area or a touchdown pass. So when you combine everything, it can be tough. Patrick Mahomes, if he, makes a bad run, that's as big a negative as it is if he throws an interception. So when you're trying to put everything into one grade, so what we're talking about doing, which I think would really be exciting, is to cut those slivers even more. We have 160 data points on every play for every player. Wow. So we're talking about taking, who's the best tackling defensive back in the NFL? Who's the best run stopper in the NFL? Who's the best in pass breakups in the NFL? Who's the best at playing the ball in the air? Like, we have all that data. It's just a matter of how much work and how many more millions of dollars am I willing to spend to break it down. Everybody else has their system. I have my system. We probably have 600 people working for us on this system. JJ, I welcome you. Create your own system. I swear to you, I'll put it on the air. I will. But I doubt anybody else is going to spend the money I have to try and make this perfect.
And we'll leave it at that. Well said, Cris. I'm excited to hear some of the feedback from this. Of course, I have to get your thoughts before you go on Monday Night Football. Not Monday Night Football. What happened with Troy and Caleb, and then Caleb responds, which is, we always hear the mob comes after announcers. That's nothing new. That's been going on forever. That's to be expected. When you sort of heard this entire fiasco in its entirety, what was going through your head?
I'm going to admit, I hosted our Pink Ribbon Luncheon. We had 1,400 beautiful ladies in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Leanne Morgan was our entertainment. And for once in the entire season, I did not see that game. So I'm going to back off. I'm in enough controversy on my very own. But I'll tell you this, Troy Aikman studies very hard to do what he does. And he does not say anything lightly. If he had something to say, it would be because it's what he honestly believed. He's a great friend of mine. He works his ass off. And I would back him up without even knowing what the hell he said.
This is going to live on in production meeting lore. What is your most unique production meeting story?
Oh, boy.
What sticks out?
I have had a lot of them. And unfortunately, it's generally people who are mad about something. But it's also the reason that we show up on Friday. We go to practice, and not everybody does anymore, but we go to practice. And every once in a while, some 330-pound guy will come walking towards me, and all I can think of is, oh boy, what's his PFF grade? What's his PFF? So, it's part of the business. You're asked to give honest opinions. I think that the really good announcers do give honest opinions, and there is a blowback. It is not one of those things that you say it and nobody ever makes a comment on you. It's, if you rank all the players in the NFL, you're going to hear comments on it. And I am not afraid of any of it. I believe the system should be that all of us be as honest as we can. And when they tell us something, Generally, if it's even bad about me, I will put that on the air and let people know this is an honest give
Wow.
and take. It's what makes great television, and it's what makes great shows like yours. And so, yeah, I'm proud of what we do for a living. I'm proud of the guys that it's not as easy as people think. I mean,
Yeah.
we work really hard. We study really hard. We collect all the data we can collect to work at NBC and make Sunday night as good a show as we can make it.
Is one of those people that's running through your head that you think about the PFF scores? Is one of them happen to be playing tonight?
They're playing every night of the week.
Is one of them Aaron Rodgers, Christopher?
Aaron and I we have a great relationship.
Good.
We really do. We have an open and honest relationship, which is all I care about. That's all I care about. As long as somebody's willing to tell me exactly what they think, and I can say exactly what I think, I usually end up great friends with those kinds of people.
You have the Niners and the Falcons on Sunday, but the next week I jumped ahead, and it is Steelers-Packers in Pittsburgh. When you get into that production meeting with Aaron, what are you dying to ask him?
The obvious question is, what do you think about? I mean, when you walk out on the field and you see the Green Bay Packers, where you won all the MVPs and you were the legend of all legends, along with Brett and a few others. I mean, let's face it, it's Green Bay Packers. But I mean, you can't just walk out there and it not be a little different, right? And he's experienced it before with former teams, and this isn't the first new team that he's played with. But the Packers, man, I mean, he's going to be a banner and a part of that world championship forever and a day up there, and all those MVPs, and it just has to be unique. I can't wait for the game. I can't. There's something about uniforms on Sunday Night Football. We talk about it all the time. Sometimes they're great games. And sometimes there are great games that also have great uniforms. This is a great game that has great uniforms.
I love that, but let's not jump ahead. We're here. We do have Falcons-Niners, great game, great freaking game. Kittle, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy back at practice yesterday. They're limited, though, and Purdy's being, more limited than Mac is what we're saying. There's this genuine debate when both are healthy. I got to ask you, which quarterback gives them the best chance?
I was really impressed with Mac Jones. I just got finished watching it last night. But Brock Purdy, I mean, my goodness, the guy is lit it up when he was in there. But Mac Jones was sacked 6 times in that game last week. And, they lost Fred Warner, and their secondary was a mess. But Mac Jones was still hitting big plays down the field. And really, if it had not been for a few real breakdowns on the defensive side, and who knows how much the loss of Fred Warner meant, to just coordinating the defense. And they're trying to shuffle in some new people in the safety position and do some different things. So they just made some big mistakes on the defensive side that they kind of fixed in the second half, late in the second half. So we'll see whether or not that carries forward. But the 49ers are a sneaky team. They always seem to find a way in, and when they get in, they seem to find a way to the championship or the Super Bowl. But this Atlanta Falcons team, do not underestimate this team. They are, and I think that one of the things that has been a little bit of a surprise has been how good they've become on the defensive side. They drafted the 2 edge players, and so now, Atlanta, when you talk about Atlanta in the draft, what do you say every single year? They have terrible pass rush. They can't get it done with their pass rush. They draft 2 this year. They're rotating them all in there. Divine Diablo has become a pass rushing inside linebacker along with Caden Ellis. Those 2 is kind of a 1-2 punch, really getting it done. I mean, this is a team that will attack San Francisco in a way that they'll try to take away some of those short, quick throws. So it'll be interesting. I think both of them will be a little out of character. They're going to force San Francisco to throw the ball down the field, I would imagine. And when that happens, they hit a bunch of them last week and they get it done again. But big plays at a game like this. Drake London was fantastic.
Oh, my gosh.
A week ago. I mean, so we've all been waiting, right? We've been waiting for that breakout moment for the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe the game against the Buffalo Bills was that.
It was, and they won 3 of their last 4. Number 2 in total defense. Zach Robinson doing his thing. Okay, we appreciate you, Cris. Thank you so much. With that PFF hat giving us, you're going to go get shot about Michael Jordan. I don't want to hear from your NBC PR today. Just let's relax.
They'll just call me. Believe me, they won't call you. They'll call me.
You're the best.
That's right. We're open and honest. I'm happy.
I love it. I'm going to drop your name with the linebacker. Expect my call Saturday afternoon when I'm like 9 Guinnesses deep, my friend. I appreciate you.
See you, Kate.
You're the best.